Hi everyone, let's talk about how to use an Ebow. An Ebow is one of the coolest little devices you can add to a guitar to get all sorts of otherworldly effects out of the instrument. It's very simple to use, but you have to know the technique behind it. So I'll walk you through the basics and then we'll get into some of the advanced techniques you can do with it. So it's basically a magnet, basically, okay? The magnet is right down the center, and the way you get that centered around the string is it has these little treads here that sit on the adjacent strings. So basically like it would sit kind of like that. Now, it takes a second for the string to actuate. So what I'm going to show you, part of the technique is you have to have it over more or less over the neck pickup if you want to get it to actuate really quick, because that's where the string moves the most. Okay, and generally also we're going to select the neck pickup. You could still use the bridge pickup or the other ones, and the tone will change, but you'll hear like a volume decrease in it. And be warned that even on the neck pickup, the sound is going to be abnormally loud. So I'm just using the clean channel, and you'll see how loud this is, okay? So it might be good to run a compressor in line with this, or ride your volume, or maybe a volume pedal so you can regulate that. So what you could do, if you want the onset of the note to be quicker, what we're actually going to do is like push into the string plane. So I'm going to show you how this works. I'm going to go ahead and fret a note and show you the normal kind of onset of the note here, okay? There's also like a light on here. I don't know if you can see that. You can see where you're positioning it. We're going to start on the left side of the switch here. If you switch to the left, it's the normal fundamental notes. On the right side, it's harmonics. Okay, so let's say we start a note and I just set the... Okay, so you can see how long that took to get started there. I'm going to push into it now. So you can see by pushing in, it can actuate the note quicker. Another way to do that when you're fretting notes is to hammer to start. So you're going to hear this a lot like in U2 songs and stuff like that, where you hear a ping. So that's like... But if I want the soft onset of the note, I don't want to do that. I'm going to push in. Now, let me show you if I move it farther back what's going to happen. So you can use that to regulate the volume and have it sound like you're playing a wind instrument or a violin. Let me show you as I flip to the bridge pickup what is going to happen here, okay? Now it's clearly a lot quieter, and we'll use that in a second for really good use. You can tell it does get louder when you move the Ebow over where the pickup is, but you're going to get your loudest, fullest tone selecting the neck pickup and playing over the neck pickup, but you're going to want to ride your volume or regulate that somehow so it's not really nasty sounding. But as you can tell, we don't need any kind of distortion on the amp to get this working because it's driving so much volume into the amplifier. We're going to use the distortion in a minute, but that's mainly so that we can get a particular effect. So let me go ahead and show you what happens if you use the right side switch on this side. Okay, you're going to get a harmonic feedback mode. So I'm going to show you a bass string here. Okay, so this would be normal sound for the bass string. Okay, now I'm going to turn on the harmonic mode. Pretty crazy, right? Okay, so it's inducing feedback on the string, basically. So that's a real cool effect. You have to be careful with that. It can get sort of obnoxious. But let's talk about some other stuff you can do with that. So one of the interesting things you can do, so if I can change how loud the onset of the magnetic field is by pushing into it and regulating that, I can also regulate the power of the field and the volume by moving back and forth. Now, on a humbucker guitar, as it moves over the two coils, it's going to create like a violin bowing, like a down bow, up bow effect, if you know what you're doing with it. So let me show you. I'll hold a bass note here and go back and forth for you. Okay, so that's really cool. We can use that to get violin type effects that way. Another interesting thing that I discovered, and this is more of an advanced technique, you probably saw me doing it in the intro. If you want to get the field to come on and off quickly, the quickest way to do that accurately isn't like that or like this, because that might actually mute the string, okay, because it's going to hit the casing of the Ebow. It would be actually to let the feet right here pivot on a string, and it's going to tilt back and forth. Let me show you how this works here. So I'm going to play the A string and tilt on the D string. I could also do the E too. We'll try both. Okay, so here we go. That was a little harder to do that pivoting on the E string there. Now you can tell you can do all sorts of interesting things with that if you bend strings or maybe whammy bars. We'll get here in just a minute. So that's one of the cool things you can do with it. Now the question would be, well, how do I get from string to string with it? Well, here's kind of the cool thing. You could use hammers to do that to help out a little bit. But what's really cool is the treads are basically going to pluck the string that they were sitting on that you're moving to as you move adjacently, and that'll get the string started. So let me show you how that works here. Pretty cool. It takes a little bit of technique to get that skill of basically sliding over into the next string slot with the little treads here, and then maybe pushing in to actuate the right amount and then backing off so it's not overly loud. So that leads to a question you might be thinking. Can I play arpeggios and sweep with it? Yes, you can. This takes a little bit of skill. Let me give it a shot. People call it an Ebow sweep, okay? So what we're going to do, I'm just going to hold a cool like minor 9 chord. And I'm going to attempt to regulate the depth of it as I move back and forth to try to, kind of even out the volume from string to string. But it's going to give you this real cool keyboard sound almost. Here we go. Super cool. All right, now, what are some other things we could do with it? Well, a lot of people don't think of using slide with the Ebow. So I was doing a little bit of that in the intro. There's no reason you couldn't. And this will almost give you like I've actually got a volume pedal here. I'm going to regulate the volume on and off. And you're almost going to get, I don't know, like a theremin sound, or maybe like almost sounds you'd hear in like anime kind of stuff. So let's give that a shot. So that's fun. Now, if you do that with harmonic feedback mode, it's going to catch a harmonic and slide it up, which is pretty cool. Let's check that one out. Cool. So what is something else we can do with it? Well, so here's the interesting part. What if we use distortion with it? Okay, so we don't really need the distortion, okay, because it pretty much almost drives the amp into distortion anyway. But what we can do with that is kind of interesting. So if you remember that the bridge pickup wasn't very loud, okay, but what if we use the bridge pickup to get a bridge pickup tonality with the Ebow and use the harmonic feedback mode? Why would I want to do that? Well, I used to use this a long time ago when I had to do direct recording and couldn't, make a lot of volume in the place I was recording. you could use this to fake feedback. Okay, so I'm going to turn the amp lead channel on here, and the amp's at a low volume, so it's not actually feeding back. Okay, this is the guitar doing this, right? All right, so got it in feedback mode, and I'm just going to play a note, and as I move around, what's going to happen is it's going to cross over to different harmonics, which is going to simulate feedback. So we've got our bridge pickup on, we've got distortion on the amp. Okay, here's the Ebow. How cool is that? I mean, that's fairly convincing, you know? So you might be wondering, Chris, I've heard about the Sustainiac pickups or the Fernandez Sustainer. Wouldn't that be easier to deal with? It would, but if you notice with the Ebow, it really changes the sound of the guitar. It's kind of an instrument in and of itself. You have to think with a Sustainer pickup or a Sustainiac, what they're largely trying to do is to create the sustain you'd get if you were cranked up in the sweet spot in front of your speaker cabinet. And they're trying not to alter the sound of the guitar. And it's in a fixed position, so I can't do any of these effects with it. So a Sustainiac pickup is sort of its own thing. The Ebow is kind of like an instrument unto itself. So it's really closer to letting me do synthesizer type effects with the guitar, which is also cool because if you take that sound and you start feeding it through different things, like if we were to maybe put it through a harmonizer or an envelope filter or a phaser, you can start to get all sorts of strange things with it. So let's check out one last thing that is really cool that I think that a lot of people don't exploit with it. What if you added like whammy bar stuff to it? Okay, let's talk about using the Ebow with a whammy bar. I haven't heard it done too much. You can get really cool cinematic film score type, really haunting, eerie kind of effects with this. I'm back on the neck pickup again and on the clean channel. All right, and what you're going to probably have to do here is manipulate the bar with your left hand, and then I'm gonna use the low E on this. And to keep this clean, you're going to see me doing some kind of creative muting here with that hand, okay? And I'm going to do the trick where I'm pivoting off of here, and it's going to be pretty cool. All right, let's check it out. Here we go. Okay, let's try that with the harmonic feedback mode. Okay, so you can do some really cool stuff with that. If I had my foot free right now, I would probably try to fade it in with the volume pedal. But you can see I was doing all the volume fading for the most part with regulating exactly how close the magnetic field is to the string. And that's not often exploited too much. Anyway, you could go on and on with this stuff. Really cool tool. And as you can see, you can use it on single coil guitars or humbucker guitars. The most important thing is to have a guitar that has a neck pickup. The one thing humbuckers let you do, different from single coils, is that you can sort of get that, remember that bowing, sort of effect back and forth. And I'll show you, it won't really do that on here because it's caused by going over the two coils of the humbucker, okay? So I'll just show you if we try something like that here. You're not really getting the same effect because you're kind of hearing it go on and off, and when it goes over the two coils of the humbucker, you hear it go like strong and slightly weaker, and that's what gives the impression of bowing down and up, back and forth. So as you can see, there is a whole world of possibilities of textures and tones you can get out of the Ebow once you start to get a handle on the technique of how to use one. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.